All right. Again, for the most part, the majority of our ag markets will close at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern Time. We do have some markets that are remaining open for their normal trade, but cattle not one of those. So we'll close a little early today, and live cattle now in positive territory, up a $1.75 on the February at 195.45. Buck and a quarter higher on the April at 196.77. Let's get to the feeders. Feeders have also been moving higher. Look at that January up 255 at 268.12. March at 266.90, up a $1.92. And over finally to the hog trade. Hogs up 220, 81.67 on the front month in April at 87.12. It's up 205. And we've got $100 or higher on both June and July. All right, let's see if we can tie everything we've talked about so far in this segment together. Zaner Ag Hedge, that's where we find Ted Seifried. And Ted, as you look at everything that's going on in somewhat of a quiet market, what's got your attention?
Well, obviously the grains are kind of waiting to see what the USDA report says tomorrow. It's one of the bigger reports of the year, Tony, as we all know, because it kind of ties together all the production from last year. And then, a lot of times if USDA does make any bigger changes on production, well, that's their chance to change things on the other side of the ledger and change demand as well. Yeah, it could be an interesting day tomorrow. The trade is looking for a little bit lower ending stocks for both corn and soybeans. That would be, I think, the 7th or 8th consecutive report of a lower carryover for corn if we see it. And then wheat, they're looking for slightly higher carryover. The wheat market is just really struggling to pick itself up off its lows. It's just been sitting down on the low, really kind of trading sideways here for the past, through the holidays and past couple of weeks. Corn has had that nice bounce off of lows, but just in recent days has really stalled out and is kind of waiting. And again, I think the USDA report will have a lot to say on that. Beans have been fairly resilient. We tried to break out to the downside on Tuesday, but then bounced back. We were down pretty significantly in the overnight session and earlier today, and we've bounced back. So if you get a somewhat positive bean report, I do wonder if there might be some upside potential for beans. But again, USDA report, this is a big one, Tony. This is going to set the tone here for a little bit. And then the other thing is, we're watching Argentina, and we've got some conflicting forecasts at the moment of, hey, maybe there might be some rain in there in about a week between the 16th and the 20th. Some forecast models say yes, some say no. That would be a very, very important rain for them if they get it. If they don't, we're going to have to start counting their losses in Argentina and really kind of lowering their production outlooks for both corn and beans. So, South American weather, USDA report tomorrow, that's what we're focused on in the grain markets. As far as the cattle complex is concerned, man, after yesterday's bigger down day, I think there was a lot of analysts talking about having a top in the market, but then we didn't follow through, or at least so far today, we're not following through to the downside. We have bounced back in a pretty significant way. So the resilience of the cattle market, cattle complex, it's really impressive. And not saying that we wouldn't top out somewhere in these very high prices. We could see a deeper correction. That's always on the table, Tony. But what a difference today makes, compared to what we were talking about at the end of the day yesterday. And then hogs having a really nice day too. They had gotten very oversold, gotten into or below 30% on the relative strength index. So from a technical perspective, they were due for a bounce. Some strength in cattle, I think, maybe have helped that a little bit. But it looks like it's an oversold bounce. I'm not sure that we've just put a bottom in for the hogs or not, but it is a good day. So, I'm not going to speak poorly of it at the moment.
And before you go, just kind of quickly looking at the energy markets, but crude on a rally again today. Nat gas moving higher. I guess that's probably a weather related, but do we need to keep an eye on the energies as well?
Yeah, as you mentioned when you were going through the grain prices, soybean oil is finding some strength on that crude oil, and so energies as a whole, like you said, finding some strength. We're looking at some very cold temperatures for next week. It seems like these colder blasts that we've been getting are going to be more consistent now that we've gotten into the new year. So yeah, energies, it looks like we're going to need some heating oil and we're going to need some natural gas. So that's finding some strength there.
Ted, so good to see you. Thanks for taking the time. Ted Seifried again, Zaner Ag Hedge. And that's where we start your morning.